Okay, so now that we have all of our exponent laws pretty much covered, except for there's one more left, but we're gonna get there. In this video, we're going to be using our exponent laws and also expanding our exponents to figure out the value. So not just simplifying it in exponent form anymore, but figuring out its numerical value. So let's first start with the basics. So if I have 3 to the second power, again, this is multiplication. There's no negatives in this one. So it's just meaning that we're going to multiply by 3 2 times. Okay, this is the expanded version. But if I'm trying to find the value, I'm going to figure out what it equals. Well, 3 times 3 is equal to 9. So 9 is the value. Okay, in this case, again, we're just going to stick with the basics. I'm multiplying. There's no negatives. So that means we have 5 times 5 times 5. Finding the value would be multiplying all of that. Well, 5 times 5 is 25. And 25 times 5 is 125. The next case, though, I have that sneaky little negative exponent again. So if every single time that I see a negative, I'm going to think of opposite. So I'm not multiplying by 3 times 3 anymore. It's the opposite of that. So I'm going to divide by 3 times 3, which is expressed as a fraction. 1 over 3 times 3, or 1 divided by 3 times 3. Well, we know from over here, 3 times 3 is 9. So it's 1 divided by 9, or I can look at it as 1/9 as a fraction. Same concept here. When it was a positive 3, I knew I multiplied by 5 3 times. In this case, it's the opposite because of this negative sign. So I'm going to divide by 5 3 times. And we use division. We use the fraction bar to represent division. And when I divide 3 times, I'm going to get the same thing, except for it's 1 over 125. Okay, now that I covered the basics, we're going to kick it up a notch. Okay, are you ready? So number 1, we have 2 to the 3rd power times 2 to the 6th power. Again, this fraction bar is going to mean division. 2 to the 4th power. Okay, so there's no negatives in this case. Okay, just throw that out there. But I do need the fraction bar here because there's no negative in this number to do the opposite. So it's not going to become positive. It's going to stay right where it's at. Again, don't want to confuse you. Go back to the quotient law if you kind of seem lost with this. But again, there's no negative, so I'm going to leave it right where it's at. So this means 2 to the 3rd power. 2 times 2 times 2. 2 to the 6th power, 6 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, no negative, so I'm leaving it right where it's at on the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't want to find the value with all of these 2's hanging out. Like, there's just too many. So let's simplify it first. Let's start to cross off. All these 2's and divide it, like 2 divided by 2 is 1, so they cancel. Okay, I am left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 2 to the 5th power. Okay, so let me expand it out one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's think this through. This 2 and this 2, 2 times 2 is 4. This 2 times 2 is 4. And we have 1 times 2 left. Okay, so I know 4 times 4 is 16. And I have that 2 left. 16 times 2. Okay, so my value is 32. Okay, let's do another one. Number 2. Let's do 2 to the 8th divided by 2 to the 10th. Again, they're all positive, so we're leaving our numbers where they're at. We're not moving anything around. We're doing exactly what it says. Okay, 2 to the 8 means you have 8 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 on the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That is a whole lot of 2's to be multiplying, so let's go ahead and simplify this. Oh, I have nothing on the top, so that's 1 over. Now my 2's are on the bottom. 2 times 2 is 4. So we have a fraction 1/4. Again, that means dividing because they're left on the bottom, so we're going to leave them where they're at. No negatives, don't change anything. Okay, let's do another one. One more without changing anything, and then number 4, we're going to kick it up a notch. We'll do 4 and 5. Just kidding. We're going to throw in a negative here. Okay. I saw a negative. There's also some things on the bottom, so I'm going to go ahead and put my division sign out. Okay, remember, the negative sign we're going to think of opposite. So we're going to do the opposite of multiplying by 3 times. That means we're going to divide by 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, this number is positive. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply by 3, 2 times. Okay, there's no exponent here, but there's 1, 3, and it's on the bottom, and it's positive, so we're not doing the opposite of anything. We're not doing the opposite of dividing. We're just straight dividing by this 3, so it's going to go right over here to the bottom. There was no negative, so we're leaving it alone. We're leaving it right where it's at. Okay, now we're going to simplify. Crossing off. We have 3 times 3 on the bottom, and that's 9. I'm going to put a 1 on top because we canceled everything out. So 1/9. Okay, number 4. Kicking up just a little bit. And this will be our last. We'll just do 4 today. Okay. 4 to the third times 4 to the negative second. Negative 6. Don't know my numbers today. 4 to the negative fifth times 4 to the fourth. Okay. Everything positive, we do exactly what it says. So don't freak out. We are only doing the opposite if we see a negative sign. Okay. So let's start it off. 4 to the third power is positive, so we're going to do exactly what it says and multiply it out. 4 to the negative 6, though, instead of multiplying it 6 times, we're going to divide it 6 times because of that negative sign. Okay, you with me? Now we have 4. The opposite, again, it's on the bottom, which meant dividing, so we're going to do the opposite of dividing by 4 5 times, which means we're going to multiply by 4 5 times. It's got to go to the top. 1, 2, 3, and I said 4, I meant 5. Again, opposite of dividing, because it's on the bottom, is multiplying, which is why I went to the top. This is 4 to the positive 4. We're going to do exactly what it says. It's on the bottom, so it means division, and there's no opposite, no negative sign. So we're only going to divide by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Extend this out. Okay, that's a whole lot of 4's to be multiplying. Let's make it simpler. Cross off. Okay, we're left with 4 times 4 on the bottom, which is equal to 16. And everything divided out on top, so we're left with the number 1. And that we left with the number 1 because 4 divided by 4 is 1. Okay, and we have 4 times 4 left on the bottom, which gives us 1/16. Okay, no matter what, I think we need one more, just to take a breather, so we're okay. Five to the negative second times 5 to the third divided by 5 to the fourth times 5 to the negative fifth. Okay, again, we're only doing the opposite whenever we see negatives. Okay, so here we are. First negative. This is up on top, so it's multiplying, but we're doing the opposite. So we're going to divide by 5 2 times. This is up on top, so it means multiplying, no negative, so we're just going to be multiplying by 5 3 times. This is on the bottom, which means division, no opposite, so we're going to divide by 5 4 times. There is a negative. It's on the bottom, which means division. It's a negative, which means the opposite, and the opposite of dividing is multiplying by 5 times. Okay, and now we got to cancel. Let's simplify it. Oh, we canceled everything out on the bottom, so literally all we have on the top is 5 times 5, which is 25. Nothing left on the bottom, so you could say that's over 1, but 25 divided by 1 is just the number 25, as it's whole. Okay, hopefully this wasn't too much of a change for you. We're just expanding out. We're just doing the opposite whenever we see a negative sign. All that we have talked about in the previous video that you watched the previous day about negative exponents and what that looks like. Again, today we're just kicking up in a notch, and we're not just simplifying our exponent expressions anymore. We are finding a numerical value. So instead of saying it's 1 over 2 times 2, we're saying it's 1 over 4. 3 times 3 is 9, so 1 over 9, so forth and so on. So again, pause the video, replay the video all the times that you need to. If you were watching this while we are during virtual learning in the 2020-21 school year, you are making sure that this particular page is in your notebook on page 11. Best of luck on your today's assignment.